Alright everyone, let's get started. This is version 0.8, build 104 of Overload. Welcome back to another early access first impressions. I'm your host, as always. So this is a optimization patch, sort of. Things are really coming along quite nicely. Word on the forums is there might be an announcement about an official release date coming soon, which is pretty significant news there. Because this is a balance patch, we're just going to do a simple run on Cyrank's Hotshot Infinite, just to see how far we can get. The primary weapons have been tweaked a little bit, a couple of visual changes, maybe a few audio changes. There's sticky flares have been added. What else? Folks asked for the ability to choose their upgrades whenever they reach, 20, 25 kills in Countdown and Infinite, or, 40, 50, and so on and so forth. Looking at the patch notes here. What else? That's about it. Mostly just optimizations, couple of lighting changes, etc., etc. Apparently you'll want to have your holo guide bound to any particular key. I think for me it's B. I would switch it to F, but I just realized flare is on that, so I guess I'm gonna do that on G. I wasn't using these anyway. Alright, so that's about it. Just taking a quick look here. A couple of folks have noted that there is some pretty significant slowdown with this patch, which I find a little odd. I haven't looked at this yet, obviously. One of the suggestions is to switch post-processing around. I took a look at these settings really briefly, just at the menus and leaderboards and such. I think grain only is what I prefer, personally. And I usually have everything off just so this runs really well while at least I'm recording and streaming. But I'm using grain only for post-processing and no screen space reflections. I'm on an R9 380X. Excuse me. R9 380X at the moment, and it runs fine. I just want it to run better than fine all the time. So anyway, the leaderboard button I think disappeared. It's been moved to the spacebar, which isn't like a huge deal by any means, but whatever. Also, it looks like some prep work has gone into 12 challenge mode maps, because this used to be 5 and 5, and now it's 2 pages of 6. So there's gonna be 2 more in a couple of time, in some time. All right. Let's see here. So, let me look up the game balancing. It looks like Cyclone and Crusher were the two. Cyclone and Crusher were the two that got redone a bit. And then I usually use Missile Pod and Hunter. Let's see. The post-processing grain is a little bit grainy. And this is the Cyclone right off. It looks like this, at its most basic, it's plus F in prior versions. The kickback has been dialed up pretty significantly. And it gets faster and faster, which is really, I mean, that's a pretty big help if you're, looking to hit hard targets or those that are far away. It's not particularly energy efficient, but it gets the job done. You'll also notice that explosions are way, I don't want to say they're more subdued, but they're a little more, how do I put this? Carbonized, smoky. It looks like there's more dark colors. There's a little bit more emphasis on praxis effects. Not to say I don't like it, I'm just gonna have to get used to it. It's not as satisfying as the huge explosions we used to see, but you're also going to not be, blasting through a giant robot only to find another one on the other side. You can really see the field of battle behind what you're shooting and flying at. Next, let's take a look at the Crusher here. The Crusher, it appears, has a travel time now. It's double-barreled on 2 hard points on either side of the ship. It doesn't pop as much, but you can definitely get a little more distance out of it. I would have to work with the lead a little bit, but I could definitely see bringing that back into regular rotation. If you watch some of my earliest videos from... Alright, here's an upgrade real fast. XS was given, and you can switch to Super Tracker. You only get 1 shot at that. So, decisive action there with your key presses is strongly advised. Anyway, it'll show up in the top left corner, I guess, of your HUD. And then you have, I think it's 10 seconds to decide. Overall, things seem to be a little less bright and blown out. It's a little more cohesive, honestly. It's not quite as satisfying in some respects. It's just everything seems a little bit slimmed down, I think is what I should say. And it's definitely, I do definitely like that, because not to say there was like lingering issue with it, but I never quite got into how it looked entirely, if that makes sense. There was always a little bit of adaptation I had to do. This feels a lot more natural. As you probably noticed just now, the missile pods, those graphics have been redone. Not sure if they're weaker or not. I don't think they are. Let me see if I can pull out another Devastator. Devastators were definitely redone. This feels a lot more like a mega missile. And the shockwave is definitely more prevalent. It creates a sphere around itself. You can kind of guess the explosion effects a little bit better. Another thing I had trouble with was Novas. Launching several of those at once would just completely wipe out my performance. So let me get somewhere nice. Here we go. And put down a few of these. Perfect. No, hardly noticeable drop. I almost said no, and then like it sort of dropped a little bit. That might have been screen shake, but I would say that's definitely been improved, and that's been something I've been waiting for 9 months to get improved. So what's nice about the upgrade is it defaults to whatever is given to you, and then the prompt goes away. You can start using it right away. I was a little bit worried about that coming in, but it's definitely alleviated some of my concerns that you know, you'd have to make a snap decision and all that kind of thing. The choice is there. It's just you have to sort of seek it out a little bit. And also, I think this probably gives you the option of using an upgrade for a little bit and then switching once you're out of danger, which is a huge help. I think this was the upgrade switch was implemented really nicely. Also, this Crusher is hilariously overpowered. This is the most fun I've had with it in many builds. Definitely go check this out. What else has changed? The driller bullets are a little bit fatter. Did creepers change? Creepers were perfect. They better have left them. Creepers glow a little bit more, which is a nice little visual accent to them. It looks like Titans were resized a little bit. The bigger robots don't seem to be quite as large, which helps expand the minds a little bit. I keep going back to, there was a very slight issue of scale in Overload that I just couldn't quite get my head around. Like when I first started up, you know, coming from 20 years of playing Descent, and that's been really nailed in this one. It's slight changes, but it's perfect. Or I'm completely imagining this, which is probably true. Let's see, what else? Flak, I think, had some minor changes. Yeah, Flak, it looks like, has the range of the old DX upgrade. If not, it's a little bit shorter than that. I also think its damage profile was tweaked very slightly. Yeah, it feels a little bit weaker now. It's still got pretty good DPS, but there's reason to use other things in Countdown now, which is great, because I never really liked learning the Flak to begin with, and now it's awesome. I thought I saw a fusion around here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it again. Ooh, here we go. Nice little technical test. Let me just... Alright, so we went from 2 Novas slowing you down to 5, which is great. That's excellent. Reflexes were slimmed down a little bit. Damage profile isn't great. Still, I don't know, I just don't like the reflexes much. But it's good, it's still very consistent. Let me play around with the post-processing a little bit. I'm gonna leave shadows off. I need to do some testing with that. I'm sure whatever bugs were in it months ago have been ironed out. I just haven't turned it back on. This is full. If you're watching in 1080p and YouTube is being nice to the compression, you should notice a very slight CRT effect at the corners of the screen, especially with yellow text, the 82 up there, now 83, the reflex. It's just a very slight warping, almost, to give you the feel of, you know, watching this through some kind of screen. I noticed a thing a few minutes ago, not a few minutes, probably a few seconds ago. Let's see, did the time bomb change? I'm trying to remember what that was. Time bomb has a great distortion effect when it goes off. There's also some particles that create distortion. That's pretty neat. Let's see, where is the... Let me see what this looks like with screen space and chromatic. Mixing up all kinds of things here, this is great. Screen space, it looks like, knocks my performance a little bit. Yeah. I'm probably gonna leave this off. I can never tell if it does anything in games anyway, so, like, I don't really care. But for those of you looking for eye candy, bring something more powerful than what I have. I didn't change that back to grain. Let me turn off... Yeah. Alright, so this is no post-processing whatsoever. It's a very clean look. Very sterile. The film grain is missing. Honestly, if the film grain was turned down ever so slightly, I would probably use it. But as it stands, I'm probably just gonna go with no post-proc. Just normally in challenge mode. I think in the campaign I'll play through with like all the bells and whistles, but just for my personal preference in challenge mode, I'm gonna go with nothing on. What else? Let me see if I can't knock a larger robot real fast here. Yeah, Titan will work. So if you hit them a bunch, they start smoking. Like, they light on fire, and it's a lot more noticeable now. This is something that is in Free Space, I remember. I don't think the fire specifically was in Descent 3, but that was a nice touch in the Free Space games. You know, you'd hit a giant ship somewhere, and then you'd have a little fire trailing off of where you hit for as long as that ship was alive, or, you know, a couple of minutes or something. It's just a really nice, very subtle touch that helps bring a lot of life to the robots, which is kind of ironic, but you get the picture. It's a lot more, I don't know, realistic, lifelike, animated, something like that. Now, I think it's important to note here that the Devastator Praxis effect and distortion isn't quite the entire damage radius, so don't get cocky with it.
Great, kid! Don't get cocky!
Oh, you know, that's kind of a bug now that I think about it. I would have to test this out on missiles, but you might be able to get away with using missiles and then switch to the other upgrade during those 10 seconds instead of, you know, just having a fixed amount, I guess. Oh, there's the fusion, duh. So that might be a little bit exploitable and worth looking into. Where did I put? Oh yeah, there it is. The fusion is a little more laser-like. I don't know if that's what the hitboxes always were, but it's a little more direct, a little less forgiving, maybe. Where's a? But the hits, that's something you can probably notice with the Thunderbolt. Let me pull this back out here. So if you watch this Titan and exactly where the Thunderbolt hits, you'll see two tiny little explosions. And that's a great little feedback bit, if that makes sense. Reminiscent of the explosions in all of the old Descent games that would indicate that, yes, you connected a hit. So let me see. So you switch to this. This is Tracker. Oh, you can flip between them indefinitely, but the count does decrease. Okay. Well, there you have it. Yeah, that might be something worth looking into. The counts for missiles if you switch between them once you get an upgrade awarded. But anyway, that's a relatively minor little thing. I'm trying to think of what else. Game balancing, tweaks to things. It looks like Impulse was not tweaked at all. So that's the thing. Limited how many melee robots can be spawned, which is nice. Especially since the Shredders and Golems got a bit more dangerous in prior builds. That's pretty helpful. A couple of fixes. A lot of this stuff looks like it is also for the single-player campaign, which is nice, but I haven't touched a single-player campaign in many months, so I am not any sort of authority on what has and hasn't changed for the better. But anyway, look at this, 100-something kills in. Usually I go the whole however long, but there really isn't all that much to cover here. I'm trying to think of what other subtle things. The lighting looks a little more, not really realistic, but consistent. Everything is a lot more consistent. There's definitely been a lot of TLC being put into the visual design as well as you know, the experience, feedback, like the game feel. It's just this is a really great balance pass, essentially. Balance optimizations, it does everything it was promised to do and a little bit more, honestly. Some stuff that wasn't really mentioned in the patch notes is shown up here, and they're welcome surprises in my opinion. I think the explosions could stand to be a tad bit punchier somehow, maybe run the animations a few frames faster. Just, you know, in some cases for more variety, that kind of thing. Oh, let's see. So this is Cyclone F, which is like an OD version of the Cyclone itself, obviously. And that spread gets real tight. Let me get up here and see what this looks like. That's pretty good. That's, I mean, if you can keep your energy going, you can really main this pretty effectively. Anyway, that's about it, honestly. I keep saying that's about it and then finding one little thing, but that is about it. As of this writing, Thursday, January something, 18, I guess. there's been mention that a video updating us on the status of the final game will be posted at some point next week. So stay tuned for that. I guess it's a couple days from whenever you're watching this, or a couple too many days behind whenever you're watching this. It's at some point. There's gonna be a release video, and then they're gonna put the full game out eventually. So that's exciting. Stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for more of this. Let's see what the XS looks like. Is it any different? No. It isn't. But whatever. Yeah, cool. As always, thanks for watching. Sorry this one's a little light, but there really isn't that much to cover since there's no content, and it's mostly just me gushing over small tweaks. But anyway, keep yourself informed of what's going on with this game. We're nearing the finish line, and you can really feel it. Things are a lot better. I'm not paying attention at all, so I'm about to die. Let's see if this ends soon. Yeah, there it is. There's the death. That looks a lot better. Lots more explosions. Good times. Leaderboards. Great. What? There we go. That's a little better. Anyway. Again, thanks for tuning in. More to come soon. I'm on twitter.com/chilibus and twitch.tv/chilibus if you want to watch this or any manner of other games. Go buy Overload. It's gonna be a big hit soon. And all that kind of thing. Whatever. I've got 200 hours in this. I think it's great. Hopefully you do too. Looking forward to the full release. Alright, see you in the mines. Or something. God, just end the video already.
Great kid! Don't get cocky!